Hello everyone, this is Trevor with Mando Deck Tech, and I'm back today with another deck utilizing one of the new leaders from the Twilight of the Republic set, which is a new set coming out in the next few days. I've really been enjoying making this series. I will be trying to make as many decks as I can with the new deck of the new leaders. If you are interested in this type of content, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at Count Dooku's leader ability and also his unit ability. For his leader ability, he says, action, play a separatist card from your hand, it gains exploit 1. That means you can defeat a unit, and if you do, that card you play costs 2 less. Now, when he flips on resource turn 7, he is a 5/9 with Overwhelm, and he says, on attack, the next separatist card you play this phase gains exploit 3. Now, this deck utilizes the exploit mechanic, but I wouldn't say it's a exploit deck, and I'll kind of tell you what that means here in a second. So let's go ahead and take a look at the kind of the wombo combo we've got going for turns 1 and 2. So on turn 1, we have 4 plays. We play 3 of each of these guys. We play Poggle the Lesser, Wartime Trade Official, Confederate Courier, and Patrolling V-Wing. Now, whether or not I want to play which one of these kind of depends on what else is in my opening hand. What I'm trying to do is use Dooku's ability on turn 2 to either force out Kraken or Devastating Gunship. Now, these guys cost 5. With Dooku's ability, given one of the units I've got Exploit, I can now get this guy out on turn 2. So if I've got Kraken or Devastating Gunship in my hand, then Wartime Trade Official, Confederate Courier, or Patrolling V-Wing are the better cards for that scenario. Poggle the Lesser is the better turn 1 play if I don't have Kraken or Devastating Gunship, because Poggle can kind of just go off and continually give us little battle droid tokens. Every time we play a unit, we get one, and that kind of fuels Dooku in future turns. But, like I said, if I've got Kraken or the Devastating Gunship, I really want to get those guys out on turn 2, then the other 3 turn 1 plays are better. I would say Wartime Trade Official and Confederate Courier are my number 1 picks. Patrolling V-Wing would be my second pick, and then after that go down to Poggle. The problem with Patrolling V-Wing is if your opponent has initiative, he can actually fly in, attack, and kill the V-Wing, and that kind of shuts you down on that turn. So that's kind of a flimsy turn 1 play, but if you can get to the point where you're dodging space on turn 1, then you're golden. Alright, so now let's kind of take a look at where we go from there. Now, once we've done that, we get Kraken out. The cool thing about Kraken is if you get him out on turn 2, when he comes into play, he creates 2 battle droid tokens. That's amazingly good, because what it'll do is it'll actually fuel future turns of using Dooku's ability to get out more separatist units. He also has a cool ability when he attacks, he makes those units bigger. So this is a situation where you can kind of put some early pressure on your opponent if they just don't have an early answer for Kraken. Devastating Gunship has been really surprising. I've seen a lot of people building this deck and they're not including Devastating Gunship. I think that's a mistake. I think a turn 2 3/5 grit space unit is extremely good, and his ability to, when played, defeat an enemy unit with 2 or less remaining HP is surprisingly relevant in the meta. There's a lot of things out there that he just straight up kills on impact, which is really, really good. So moving on, let's take a look at the rest of the deck. I call it Dooku and his amazing friends. If you get the reference, then you are as old as I am. But this is what I've got, is we're going with Dooku Blue. We've talked about our first 4 cards here, the V-Wing, the Trade Official, the Courier, and Poggle the Lesser. That's our turn 1 plays. I do have Power of the Dark Side right now. I still think it's a strong card, but that is a removal spot in the deck that could change out depending on what we see being popular. If we see a lot of, token decks out there, then maybe Power's not that good. Maybe we switch that out for Takedown or Fell the Dragon, whatever your pick is. Super Laser Technician is in here. I don't necessarily think this is a ramp deck because I'm kind of ramping myself with Count Dooku's ability, but using Exploit off of Super Laser Technician is absolutely hysterical because then you can force something out and ramp yourself at the same time. It's a really powerful play. Other turn 2 guys that we have if we don't get the combo out for the Devastating Gunship and Kraken that we've talked about before. I am playing Calculated Magna Guard. I think this guy is very, very good. The fact that he comes into play, gives himself Sentinel immediately. 3 for a 3/4 is some pretty decent stats, but I just find he's a really good roadblock to kind of slow people down, particularly those like aggro Sabine decks, while you kind of ramp up and do something different. General Grievous is really good as a 3-cost 4/4 stat stick. Forget his ability. If you ever pull that off, it's Magical Christmas Land. It's not going to happen in this deck because we don't really run lightsabers. The Droid Commando is pretty good as well. Everything in your deck minus the Super Laser Technician are Separatist, so getting his ability off is pretty good. Actually, the Patrolling V-Wing also is not Separatist, but I haven't had a problem getting him to be an ambush on turn 2. Overwhelming Barrage is in here as well. It's a very powerful card. It can be a little more lackluster in this deck than others because early on you may not have a huge play to put it on. If you were able to sneak out, a Kalani or a Count Dooku, then you've got a pretty good target for it. Or even General Grievous, but there's been a lot of times where all I've got is, cracking in some tokens and I'm overwhelming barraging for 4. It's okay. So it's very good. I would still play it, but you really have to kind of pick and choose when you're going to put that out there. So Kraken and Kalani are in here. I like both of these guys. The Kalani allows you to kind of pump up all your other units when he comes out. 6 for 5/7 is pretty solid. We're looking to play that on 4 resource turn. We want to be able to use Dooku's ability to get him out early. Same with Count Dooku. Playing him on 5 resources is extremely good. I don't like him as a 7 drop, but I really like him as a 5 drop. So to Count Dooku, 5 for 5/4 shielded when he comes in play, kill something that costs 4 or less is extremely good. If there was ever a deck to play choose sides, this is it. If you have some tokens out there or just something small, like giving someone a patrolling V-Wing off of choose sides and taking their bomb unit or whatever is fantastic. I think this is a main deck card. The big payoff in this deck is going to be Invisible Hand and Malevolence. 3 of each of those. They're both very, very good. Being able to get one out to feed into the next one is huge. So you really can kind of do a big, huge space presence early with this deck, using Dooku's ability to get those guys out. I am running 1 Invasion of Christophsis. I have been surprised how easy it is to play this card. Even though I'm not playing some of the things that give us extra battle droid tokens, particularly the 2-cost event that gives you 2. I see a lot of people playing that. I just didn't see a reason to use it in this. There's been a lot of times I just didn't need it. But Invasion of Christophsis, a 1 of, is, I think it's pretty good. I might consider going to 2 of them because every time I've seen it, I've been able to play it, so it's pretty cool. So this is where I'm at with this deck right now. I think it's really good. I think this deck is going to be very competitive. I think this is something we'll definitely see early on. Ways to kind of counter this is to try to either bounce spells are really good. Events are really good. Waylay, things of that nature can be pretty good if they try to rush something out. But other than that, I think the deck is really, really solid. So I would love to see what you have cooked up with this. If you have any comments, please include them down below. I will be including a link to the deck down below in the comments as well. So in the description, so you can copy it and play test it. I would love to get any feedback that you've got as far as what you've been playing, what you like in this deck, what you don't. There are some things that I took in and out, but this is kind of where I'm at right now. And with that, if you like this channel, please consider liking and subscribing to it. Until next time, we'll catch you later. Bye.